How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and yeah, finally we're back. They've released Phase 6 at last. It's in Maine in the USA. This is like the loading screen at the start. Looks pretty good. First impressions of the map so far. I quite like it. I quite like the region. It's got a pretty good feel to it. So yeah, other than that, we'll get stuck into it. So yeah, it's got a new region flashing up. Just skip across. So the first one's called the Lowland. And the next one I can't click over to it. It's like Yellow Rock National Forest. I've been on it very briefly. It's in this video for like 5 seconds. That's it. So yeah, this is the Lowland map. There's 4 watchtowers to get. It's obviously a pretty big map because even from like the garages there, and you can see the watchtower nearest to me, it still looks a fair distance away. So they're definitely bigger than like the factory ground and the what's it called, Antonovsky or whatever. Yeah, this is a loading screen. Looks pretty cool. It'd be pretty nice to own a house like out on the left. Be a pretty nice view. Probably a good few million as well. Yeah, when you get to the garage, so it's like you've got the garage so you can actually travel to this region. But as you can see, you've got like 4 different things. You've got to unlock the garage slots. You've got to do a certain thing to unlock the customization option, the truck store, and then the repair, refuel and repair. And there's also a 5th one, which is the trailer store as well, but it's just not in that list because it's like not specifically linked to the garage itself. Yeah, so the first piece of advice I'd say is when you actually travel here, before you even get everything and come to this Lowlands place, that's what she said. Yeah, just when you're on a different region, gather up all the trucks that you want, customize them in the order that you want or whatever tyres, all the rest of it, because yeah, when you go to this garage you just won't be able to swap things around. So if you've got a stock version of a truck, you're just not going to be able to switch it. It's not the end of the world because like I said, you can actually just travel to another region and change stuff around, so it is what it is. At least there's a workaround around it, and yeah, it's not the end of the world like travelling to a new map. And I quite like at least you've got the garage here so you can just recover stuff and travel to this map. You don't have to like drive from 3 maps over and all the rest of it. Yeah, so this is like a quick look at the start. There's a couple of trailers. This is like the yard itself. I believe to my left that I've just gone past is where the trailer store will be, but again you got to do the mission to get it done. So I'll cut there. There's one quick thing as well. When I crashed and damaged the Loaf on purpose, when you travel to the garage it doesn't refill your repair points and all the rest of it, so that's part of what you'll unlock like when you do the missions for the garage. Which if I go over to the contracts, it's like the top of, you got 3 different sections of contracts. If I go to the top one, there's just, yeah, I believe there's 5 or 6 different missions in there, but all the first ones are like the ones you need to do. Looking around to this first watchtower, it looks like it can sort of pop out the bottom of the map and cut up that way, but I was kind of eyeballing. You can see a little path going through the forest here, so I thought I'd give that way a go. And for the first vehicles, I've got obviously a Loaf, of course. He's a goddamn professional. And I brought a Dolphin as well. I wasn't really sure. I equipped a few different things. I got a couple of Zix 605Rs built, a Dolphin, a Phoenix, the Tatra Force. I think there might have been 1 or 2 other things. Oh, I grabbed a P12 just to use as a crane vehicle there. But it's just little things like that. If you yeah, you wouldn't be able to equip a crane onto a truck that you own just until you fix the garage. So to be honest, like I said, it's not really the end of the world annoying. At least it's just for a limited time. Once you fix the garage, it's all sorted. So it's a bit like how you can't buy vehicles from the opposite region to the one you're in. So if you're in America, you can't buy Russian vehicles and vice versa. It's a bit of a pain in the arse a year and a half odd into the game where it's just every now and then you're like, oh, god damn it, I need to travel to another region just to buy a certain vehicle. But yeah, at least in the scheme of things, this one will actually get like fixed up and everything, so I don't really mind it, to be honest. I'm travelling across the map now. First impressions, like I said, I sort of quite like it. I'm always like, with the more recent phases, get a little bit wary of having like a good impression, a positive opinion when they first come out, because it normally takes a couple of days of just driving around the maps and testing it out to see, like, if there's certain things that keep occurring repeatedly. That's where it starts to, like, I could just think off the top of my head in phase 5, there was quite a lot of like tree root things in the ground that you'd catch on quite a bit, and it's not the end of the world, but it was just one of those things where obviously on the first night where I'm doing like the first exploration video, I've not necessarily caught enough of them for it to become like a noticeable pattern. But yeah, driving around on this map, the first things I'd say is I quite like the fact that it's mud. There's bits of snow, but not a whole lot, which I don't mind, to be honest. Like, we've definitely got and had plenty of fully snowy maps. I've only very briefly been on that other yellow brick national forest thing or whatever, so from the looks of it, I don't think it's 100% snow, but it could well be close to, if not as good as. Yeah, there's certain little sections of mud going on in this phase, or this map, that are a little bit juicy. What I think they've actually done again, I forgot to mention it when I was just driving the Loaf at the start around the yard. The Loaf almost felt like it's not accelerating up to speed like it used to, but I sort of felt that as well when I was driving the Zix round, and I believe, just gut feeling again, they might have nerfed everything by a couple of % again, just to make it a little bit slower to kick in. Again, it could also just be, as they've updated a new phase, they might have had, say for example, a patch in place to fix that from the previous time, and then the update like makes the patch obsolete and now it reverts to like how it used to be, whatever. It could be something like that. So I kind of always give them probably a week or so of like just a free window of whatever bugs there is, as long as they get on them and fix them. I've had nothing really game breaking or anything like that. I've had a few times where the frame rate, like it looks like I'm getting a bit of lag, but it's not consistent really. What was it, on phase 2, the Yukon flooded foothills, I used to get quite a lot of lag on that, but that was quite consistently laggy. It used to sort of drive me mad after a while. On here, it's almost like every 5 minutes or so, it's like it's saving in the background and it just kind of freezes up and lags for a second or two. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. When I got to this point, by the way, what I should have done now is just got the Loaf out the back and drove straight up the hill, because it would have been the shortest option. I'm kind of following the path that the game has carved out for me a little bit. Not leave me Loaf behind. Well, as you'll see tonight, I mean, as usual. Get yourself a goddamn horse or a vehicle, because he gets the job done. I know when I was deciding whether to bring the Dolphin or the Zix 605R tonight, I was thinking, well, I ended up using both of them basically. This was just kind of for the first watchtower. I already had a feeling that when I get there I'll probably just jump back to the garage anyway. So yeah, that's why I decided to go with the Dolphin in the end. But the biggest reason why I still do really like driving the Dolphin, especially that it's got the high range and it's got some nice pace to it. But objectively these days I'd rather bring the Zix 605R, because one, it's got the roof rack, and two, it's just very well planted, that truck. Like, I'm surprised they let it be as planted as it is, because they seem to have a bit of a fetish in this game for making everything like extra dangerous and wobbly and tippy and all the rest of it. But the yeah, the Zix is pretty good. Only thing off the top of my head, the Colob, the long nose Colob, is probably harder to tip. Maybe the short nose Colob or flat face, whatever. I just drove a little bit further down the path, and that's why I was saying in the end I should have just jumped my Loaf out the sideboard and gone straight up the hill. I basically got to here like a few extra truck lengths. That bloody tree back there is a little bit of a pain, because I kind of got hooked on it, and it's one of them where it's not like an obstacle in the game and it's suddenly annoying me or anything like that. It was just, I can't tow the tree out of the way, I can't break the tree. It's just one of those game mechanics that's like the tree's there in the way of where you need to drive through. It was hooking onto the truck and I was just hooked on it. It was not really, I just had to keep pulling with a winch, and fingers crossed eventually I'll pop off, which I did. So yeah, getting my Loaf out, typical. Give it a little flick at the end, but I was looking like, well, I think we should have this. Just changed to daytime and everything, but yeah, keep giving the throttle a little go. I mean, to be fair, I've got the Dolphin there, so I could always flip him back anyway, but just just so I know. Squeeze the throttle, like I said. If you don't start, you're not turning the key hard enough. And yeah, like I said, at this point I just decided, I mean, this is one of the reasons to get yourself a Loaf. If you're in any truck going up anywhere like this, or even some of the bigger scouts, to be honest, yeah, you're kind of limited on which way where you can go and all the rest of it, fitting through the gaps in the trees. But with a Loaf, it's yeah, it's going alright. I wouldn't mind looking how steep that hill, like the camera angle can sort of trick you at times, but it didn't look as steep as there was a big steep hill in, what was it, Wisconsin, I think. That one, the Loaf still got up there, but it was a bit slower than usual. But this one, again, it's not really the grip. It just feels like it's taking longer for the engine to kick in. You sort of floor it, you can hear the engine going, not just in the Loaf, this was in every vehicle I drove. That's why I sort of feel like there's a general background nerf going on, again, whether it's accidental or not. Not sure. This watchtower, as you can see, it's kind of on its own little rock plinth, really. There's not... Like, you could go round to the left of where I am. I believe you wouldn't really bump into any rocks there. But generally speaking, even on the map, there's kind of like, theoretically, steps of rocks going up in front of me. And, yeah, again, I could have gone round to the left and just got up that way, but I fancied the Challenger trying to climb up here. Fling some winches out. It's got some good old length. That's definitely what she said, of course. And whatever tree I just grabbed over to the left, it's doing pretty well. The Loaf does climb stuff a lot better than it would probably get credit for, if it, just from looking at it and the fact that it's got tiny little tyres. There's probably times like this though, I'll try it on this map myself, because there's another rock climbing section, shall we say, coming up later. Yeah, I'd like to try the chained, just to see if they still hook. It's places like this where the chained help, where it's just the ledges of the rock they kind of hook on better. And I was looking around now, I was trying to see if that little thing poking out the ground was a tree stump. One of the rare times I actually wouldn't mind one. And it wasn't, of course, but yeah, I mean, like I say, it's goddamn professional, so... He gets up, he gets it done. To be honest, I think most trucks, if not all, would struggle a fair bit with that anyway. I'll have to try at some point. I've only been here with the Loaf so far. I was wondering which video to do. I was either going to do an exploration video or going through some of the new stuff they've added. I've looked at them in the garage. You've got like the forwarder thing, the Taiga, and the ANK thing. They look pretty cool, to be honest, but I've not got access to any of them so far. Even exploring this map, I've still not got access to any, so I assume tomorrow or the next day I'll probably go onto that yellow brick road map and yeah, try and find some of these vehicles so I can give them a test, get the review videos done for them. But so far, just the looks wise, the Taiga looks pretty cool. I think it had 46 inch, but it can get up to 50 inch tyres, so that's good enough. It's broke the 50 inch mark. Is of course what she said. The next one was the ANK. I think that had 51 maybe inch tyres, and then the forwarder was like had bigger tyres, but it's like a bit of a more unique vehicle. Yeah, so like I said, for this next section I'm driving on, I'm taking the Zix. Got two goddamn professionals. One of them's got an autonomous, one's got a advanced winch. So yeah, it's pretty much impossible that I'm going to get stuck from tipping, because one of them will always guarantee be able to get itself back to its wheels. That can get the other one back to its wheels, and that can get the Zix back to its wheels. Yeah, driving along this map, now I can at least follow the roads. I went left with the Dolphin and Loaf when I just went for the first watchtower, so now I'm just going straight ahead. And I suppose this gives you a good little general overview of the map. Looking around, there's like mountains in the distance. Mountains got a pair of tits. It's pretty good. Yeah, you can see like little patches of snow and all the rest of it, but like I said, they've not gone overkill on it, which is quite nice. Like, even now, I'm driving in the snow, but I could go over to the right and stick to muddy terrain physics. I will say, and I can't put my finger on it yet, if it's like a general background nerf or if it's this phase in particular, but certain sections, like even I suppose this snow to a degree, considering it's only like, you know, 3 to 6 inches deep or whatever, you can see it's slowing me down quite a lot. Considering it's the Zix 605R, it's probably like objectively one of, if not the best truck in the game. And there was a few sections, there was the odd little mud section, which is like death mud. I don't mind that as much, because it was only in little patches, it wasn't really anything too crazy. But there's like a bit more of a highway section as well, where you've got certain bits of the road that have been flooded out, and as soon as you hit them, even if you're in 5th gear out of 5, as soon as you hit like that section, it just slows you right down. It feels a little bit artificial, like it's a bit over the top really. Even now again to a degree. But as it's just in patches in this certain like context, it's, let's say, it's not too bad. It was just giving me a chance to fling the camera around, have a good old look around. At least it's driving. It reminds me, that section, of what was it, Wisconsin again, with like the farm section that just felt a little bit swampy and slow. But yeah, like I said, the revs almost, something feels like it's been nerfed. It's a bit like I've said before, where you almost imagine it as like if the clutch was slipping. It's just times tonight where when you rev it, you can hear the revs building and your engine sort of going harder, but it isn't translating to that. It's not quite reacting. I don't know. It feels like it's off sync or something with the power versus the noises and it's making and all the rest of it. So we'll see. Like I said, I sort of give them a week or so to get any bugs and patches sorted that they need to do. And I'm not sure, I didn't look actually if there's any new trials or anything. I'll be honest, I think even trials going back to phase 3 and no, probably not phase 3. I think phase 4 and 5 I might have missed some of them. The only thing I wish they'd let us do on the trials is just have fully upgraded versions of the vehicles. I don't mind if they make the maps harder to compensate, but yeah, they give us like not fully upgraded versions, and it already feels automatically less fun than it should be. So yeah, if there are some new trials, I'll try and get around to them, but I'll be honest, they're probably not going to be the top of my priority list. I quite like doing the review videos, definitely be getting them done. And so far, it looks like there's a decent amount of missions on this map. Well, there's 3 different contract sections. Like I said, the first one is pretty much all related to getting the garage unlocked. Here, by the way, I just did a little edit there, because all I did was go down to that red building you can see. I already thought it was, you can grab 2 metal beams from there, and I obviously didn't do it this time, but I assume when you do, the factory thing itself will disappear. So it's a little bit like, again, it was on Wisconsin and stuff, I suppose, where, yeah, there was factory buildings and you could actually scavenge materials from them. This is a petrol station, but it won't let me use it. There's no yellow box around it or anything. It's not offering me to fill my tank up. That's one of the reasons I did bring the Zix, and especially that I got 2 loaves with me and a roof rack. Like, I'm definitely covered with fuel. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know 100%, but I'm guessing there'll be some kind of mission that'll unlock that fuel station. I don't know if it'll be related to the garage itself or not. But either way, I obviously, yeah, went past it there. It's not letting me have any fuel or anything like that. There's some kind of warehouse going on. I believe there is quite a few things in there, actually. There appears to be, if I remember correctly, 2 main warehouses on the map. And where I am now, you can see, like, up ahead, I'm basically driving towards, like, the ocean, and I can see the shoreline is kind of going round that way, about where my marker just followed. So if I look to the left now, that's where I'm going to drive in a second, so I'm going to edit it. I'm pretty much going to do a U-turn now, and that's the same car park I was just next to. Because all I did was follow the road further down. It just basically gets to a dead end. You can see more of the shore and all the rest of it. I got the footage. I could have left it in. It was just, even now, the video's what, about 41.5 minutes long. It was just quite nice to keep it at that. I didn't really want to get nearer to 50 minutes if I could help it. And yeah, 41.5 minutes is not bad for an exploration video, really, and getting 4 watchtowers done. But yeah, I was just trying to keep the video a little bit tidier. Apologies, some of the editing's a little bit rusty. Well, I don't know if it's the editing actually. It's more when I was getting the footage. I just forgot sometimes that I was like getting footage, so I was just looking around the map, doing my own thing. Ended up using up pretty much all of my editing slot things. So yeah, as you can see here, like, cut around to the left, and there is a road sort of back further up that way, and it's kind of like, well, where someone's driven before along here. But yeah, easy enough to drive along. To the left looks like it gets pretty deep there, but overall pretty simple. Keep it pinned, fingers crossed, and yeah. I mean, again, the Zix is just pretty bloody good at not tipping, even when you have got it decked out with some loafs. And for this, well, watchtower, I was going to say, there isn't a watchtower, just, I often like look in the distance for the top of the watchtower just to see where I'm heading. This one is, there's like a lighthouse, which I suppose kind of makes sense-ish. Yeah, so you're not looking for a watchtower, it's just follow this road basically. It's pretty easy, this one. And overall, even like the difficulty level, the layout of it, quite so far I've quite liked it. Like the first watchtower was a little bit tricky to get to, but nothing crazy, and there's not really anything else there other than the watchtower, so you're not going to have to keep like nipping through dense trees or whatever to get back there. This one's obviously driving up on a road. Pretty good views again. The scenery, they always do a pretty good job, to be honest. I've always quite like the look of most of the maps, even if the maps themselves drive me mad. Even Amandra, yeah, I don't really have any desire to go back on that map, but it is a good looking map. So essentially, got this next watchtower done. Again, I was getting a bit sloppy with the editing, or like getting the footage, because I was looking around to see if any of those vehicles have appeared, like when I've hit the watchtower, if I've like uncovered any or anything. Like I said, so far I don't know 100% if there isn't any vehicles on this map, but I got all 4 watchtowers done and all the rest of it, and I haven't found any new vehicles so far. And when I looked in the garage, because if you go scroll through your truck store, which I went back to another region to do because it won't let me look through the truck store on this region until you unlock the garage stuff. But yeah, you can still find the trucks that way, and then well, for the PlayStation anyway, if I press square when I'm on the truck, it'll bring like an example of it up in the garage, so I could have a little look around it. Again, I could have put the footage in this video, but it's one of there was another 10 things I could just put in this video and easily make it like getting nearer to an hour long, so I'll just pace myself. I'll get this exploration video done, and then yeah, we'll get on to some of the other stuff pretty soon. So after the second watchtower, they just fly back through town here, which that's one thing I quite like the feel of this map so far. There's like these road sections running through the map. In a minute, if not coming up pretty much now, I'm going to be driving along like what's essentially highway. I don't know how much use the highway vehicles are going to be, because unless there's like sections of mission where you've just got to go from one end of the highway to the other, obviously it doesn't really matter if it's 90% a highway. If there's 10% thick mud to get through, a highway vehicle's just going to tap out the second you hit that mud. But as you can see here, yeah, there's like roads running along, so I do quite like the option of at least being allowed to go flat out if I can. You can see here a bit, every time I hit the patches of water, it slows me down more than I think it should, but it is what it is. I wouldn't say that's a particularly new mechanic in and of its own right. It's just SnowRunner. It seems to be how they nerf it as soon as you hit anything other than yeah, like a highway. But yeah, what's the map called? Black River, like the first Michigan map. You kind of have the road sections where you can travel pretty quick, or you can have the more direct routes that are obviously muddier and more off-road and all the rest of it. But if you've got a good enough truck, they're quicker and they're worth it. And again, it's early days with this map, but the fact that I've kind of got this highway section running down one side of the map, and the other side of the map looks sort of, yeah, medium to, I imagine there's patches where it gets pretty boggy and slow and all the rest of it, but it looks like you kind of have the option to travel either way. You can either go the longer way, and then yeah, you've got highways like this with those little sections of water that's flooded out. They just make you go slow, but nothing ever like I got stuck or anything like that. It's just one of them where it makes you go a few miles an hour and you have to just squeeze the throttle and wait. So yeah, for this one, you can see the watchtower there. I could see it was pretty close, really. So, but again, it was looking. You can see like the gap through the trees. It looks like you're going to end up hitting a cliff. I was already thinking at this point I could just jump one of the loafs out and drive that up there, but again, I get weirdly sentimental about once I've got the loafs in the sideboard and on my roof. I don't like to get them off just in case. Might need one later. So yeah, I decided to drive the whole Zix up here. And like I said, this far there's like a little path going up. It looks like it swerves off to the left, but if you do a sharp right, which is one thing the Zix, I have to say, is pretty good for its turning circle, considering the size of the truck. It's pretty decent for that. So it's just times like now where I ended up flinging a winch out, so it wasn't any major issue, but it just felt like once I bumped into something, the revs died down so much that it didn't really feel like I got stuck there. It was just like there wasn't enough oomph for it to even put the effort in to climb up. It just feels like that's the thing that's lacking more than, like that was ever going to be an impossible ledge to get up or anything. But as you can see, pretty easy. Like, apart from flinging that winch out, there's no real issues. Again, pretty damn good views. Don't know why. It makes me think Watchtower's wearing a cowboy hat. It might sound stupid, but every time I've seen that footage, instantly reminds me of like a big, oversized cowboy hat. Yeah, so gonna get back to the road, follow the highway, keep going sort of north. I've kept the map rotated, I think how the game offers it this time. And that's the last watchtower in the top corner, which I'll follow the road as far as I can after that. Who knows? Well, you can see on this map that I believe they did it on Phase 5 as well. The watchtowers are not really on a road or anything like that. They're just kind of, you can get nearish to them. And I think, to be fair, actually, they've probably done that with quite a few phases. But yeah, it's just a bit of an odd, like, you have to do a bit of off-road rallying, a bit of freestyle, one-handed rally special to grab the watchtowers. But now I've grabbed that watchtower, I'll probably never need to go back up there again unless it does some specific mission that makes me drive there. So even now in the auto gears, I just found myself clicking, is it R1 or whatever keeps making you try and stick it in gear loads. That's what I kept pressing. Or what? Yeah, L1. Sorry, I think it is. It just always felt like you just, I like, for example, I definitely need the gearbox that has high range on it. Car's having the time of its life, because it already feels like it's lacking that power a bit. The high range, in theory, can make up for it, but you can see now, this is probably a pretty good example of the water. It's halfway up the wheels, but for a truck this meaty, and I'm in high gear, I think it should have a few more mile an hour going to it. I'm surprised it's not even stalling in high there. It's pretty close. It's probably one thing that's not helping is the current with the water, and like I said, they don't really have it in this game where a foot of water isn't as severe as 6 foot of water. It's kind of like as soon as you're officially in the current of the water, it just really holds you back quite a lot. And you can see there where it kind of just lets go of you. You go back to some different sort of coding, and suddenly you fire back up to speed pretty quickly. But again, it's not the end of the world. It's nothing like, once I'm driving with trailers and all the rest of it, it'd probably feel more like it makes more sense or anything anyway. It's just at the minute with this Zix, it's like, it's a bit of a beast. You can see here, it shouldn't really be going this slow, especially not in high gear. But I was trying to watch the wheels now. I believe the wheels are spinning, so it's probably one of them where, if it's not going to give me the grip, they're custom muds. I did check for what it's worth, like they haven't added chain for this vehicle or anything. I looked through the Tatra as well. It's funny, all these vehicles that are washed up, like, this place doesn't look like it had back-to-back traffic. Every little water section's got multiple cars in there, like, what was everyone doing? Just parking on rivers. Making it look like some LA freeway in rush hour. There's a bit of a fat, juicy hill to climb up here. I'm sure in real life, don't know if the engine and gearbox would be too keen, sitting in 5th, I assume. Again, it always shrinks the screen down, just when I think you see it. So when you get here, there's a trailer already stacked with bricks by the looks of it. Just grab that mission quickly. Now, I should veer off to the left there, but as you can see here, I was just looking like, well, maybe the road up ahead, even though I'd already seen a tunnel up ahead, when I looked at the map, it reconvinced me that there isn't actually a tunnel there, and it looked like the road carried on. So I had to drive up here and see. Well, I was more seeing if I could cut off to the left at some point, but it appears where I was, where that trailer was, is like the best place to do that. But yeah, here's the gateway to the Yellow Brick Road, Wizard of Oz place. What is it? Yellow Rock National Forest. Or some big guy with an axe. This is literally just a quick 10-second look at it or whatever. Apologies, that's my phone beeping. Always like when it does it in a video. Every time I hear it, always makes me look around. Yeah, this is just a quick look. So you can see there, it looks like Mickey Mouse's head, the way the watchtowers are done. It looked like there wasn't complete snow, so it's probably like this map again where there's like patches of it and so on. So yeah, I'm going to head back down just the road to that trailer and start cutting through here, because you can kind of see a gap in the trees where it looks like you can follow it around. After that, I was just like, I don't know, stick a waypoint there and we'll go for it. What could possibly go wrong? Got 2 goddamn horses. Not too sure if it's like, I was just noticing then I changed it to like 1 PM or whatever, and it wasn't like a seriously bright sunny day. I was just looking at the levels of fog that they've used. It doesn't look too bad. Again though, it was when they introduced fog in phase 2 or whatever, that's when I started getting lagging issues going on. That tree there, by the way, I believe it's one you can knock down, but for whatever reason it kind of got stuck in my truck and just kind of locked me in place for 10 or 20 seconds, that's why there's a little edit there. So where I've just drove to now, you can sort of see if I go backwards to my left, that's where the road kind of joined up, but I would still recommend just going up the hill and cutting through the trees where that trailer was, because it was pretty easy. I somehow managed to hit a tree, but it was kind of my own my own karma for trying to kill the tree. I didn't really need to. And up to this point there is actually like a little track running through here. It's times like now where it's nice that the Zix is as well planted as it is, especially with the Zix and the Loaf in the sideboard won't really do much. To be fair, the Loaf on the roof doesn't, but for some vehicles it could. And you can see now, if I sort of veered off to the left, I believe that's going to a warehouse, which I do need some parts for. I think it might actually be for the first mission as part of unlocking the garage. I think there's 4 concrete blocks I need. I can't remember if all 4 are in that warehouse. There might be 2 in each warehouse. But either way, I followed the track just going past that, and again, as you can see, within reason, it's kind of been carved out for you. Like, there is a definite route and a track kind of weaving up the hills through the trees. Can you see again though? Maybe it is just me, but just feel like there should be only 5, probably, yeah, not even 10% just more power. It just feels like they've eased it off a tiny bit, and it's like just that last little few percent that I'm missing. So as you get to this point, it kind of funnels you to where you have to follow this track, and then up ahead there's like a big landslide thing going on, and I'm not sure, there's certainly no mission squares or anything like that to insinuate that we're going to be able to unblock this at some point. I don't really know if or how often we'd ever have to come back this way, because again, you can see the watchtower in the distance there. I can just see the top of it. Yeah, I can already get to the warehouse before I get to this point and all sorts, so I don't think you have to go this way, but I wanted to try and climb it just for the sakes of it. Sadly, it's one of them where it feels like you're getting really close, but it just doesn't quite tip over, so I jumped one of the loafs out just to see. I had a feeling that the loafs wouldn't make any difference, to be honest, particularly like the one on the roof is actually way in the front of my truck, which is what I want, because I want the front wheels to kind of bite in and get my nose over the top. But I was messing around for a good few minutes. It was like just felt a few percent off being able to make it to the top, so it's time to send in a goddamn horse of a vehicle. Jumped him off the roof, got him lined up, and I was trying to stick the winch on the Zix. I was trying to be lazy about it and not spin the camera around, but it made me do it. God damn it. Yeah, I mean, this is just one of the reasons you get yourself a loaf, because he's goddamn professional. I mean, the Zix, if the Zix can't climb up this rock slide thing, it's got to be half difficult, because the Zix has got the custom mud. Well, I don't know, I was going to say the Tatrin, in theory, but that thing tips its nose up quite a lot and can seesaw around to the left and right and all sorts, so I don't know. But either way, I got the loaf, stuck a winch to the Zix, kind of used the hoovering the winch in and just accelerating. I don't like that they've split that up. It used to do both at the same time, which you'll another good example of now. Like, I stick the winch on the Zix, I can either squeeze the throttle and the Zix will drive with me, or I can pull the winch in, but then once I do that, the Zix just stops driving, and I wish it'd do both at the same time. But either way, yeah, I use the Zix to push my loaf up. definitely what she said. Yeah, got over the top because he's goddamn professional. Now we're good to go. Now, I could have just drove off at this point, because I knew that the watchtower wasn't very far away. But just on sheer stubbornness principle, and, you know, what would Jesus do, what would Loaf do? We're going to have to rescue the Zix, just for my own peace of mind. So, yeah, got the Loaf kind of wedged up behind a rock. Just taking a while to find the winch point there. Stuck a winch, instead of doing it from the front of the Zix to the Loaf, because then it'd kind of be pulling my nose down into the rock when I get the camera at the right angle. You can see it's... I believe at this point, the hitboxes don't match the rocks 100%, if that makes sense, because it's like a roadblock in the way. There's just a few sections where it's... You'll see. We'll end up getting over this, because, like I said, it's goddamn professional. That's what we've learnt. Well, we already knew, but we've just reaffirmed it again. Get yourself a Loaf. And, yeah, there's not really anywhere on the map that you're not getting. Even places that the Zix itself couldn't even get by itself. Send in a Loaf, and it's done. But yeah, there was like another rock I got caught on there where it just feels like the hitboxes stick out a bit further than the rocks look, so you tend to get caught more than you'd think. But other than that, we still got it done. So now, like I said, I could have just drove off in the Loaf really. It looks like I can swerve off downhill quite sharply. At this point, I didn't even draw markers. I think I was just like, sod it. Jump in the Loaf and I'll just send it up the hill. Kind of ish. Looks like there's a track going up here. I don't think it's supposed to be a track, to be honest. I think it's just, yeah, like the side of the mountain where there's not even grass growing or whatever. But like I said, this is the nice thing though. The Loaf, it's got the turning circle of a goddamn housefly, so you practically never need to do a 3-point turn in the Loaf. If you need to do a 3-point turn in the Loaf, you'd need to do like an 84-point turn in pretty much any truck. So we're all good, see? You just turn, he's instantly on it. But yeah, I can quite easily just weave in and out of the trees. I'm kind of trying to aim towards this watchtower, but if I wanted to go off to the right or even through those 2 green trees, like, I could make it. And going along here as well, obviously. They're little glitches, by the way. They're not edits, so apologies for them, but I can't physically help what the PlayStation decides to go mental and start editing clips for me. But yeah, driving along here, I mean, we're tipping over to the left a fair bit, but the Loaf's pretty well planted. I believe as well, by the way, I forgot to mention it earlier, when I was driving through the yard with the Loaf, I believe what possibly could have happened as well is I had a roof rack on the Loaf, as I usually do. It felt a little bit slow, considering since we've got that new custom whatever engine for the Loaf. So I'm not sure if the roof rack bug has been kicking back in, but again, I'll test that. I just need to grab more vehicles. I only had a certain amount of time tonight. That's some of the view. I had a lot of trouble downloading this. Downloading it was fine, but then I had to go to the PlayStation Store and enter my card details to get just to be able to click to download it. And for whatever reason, it just kept saying that I can't download it. It was just saying, oh, if you don't have this card anymore. And it's like, what? What do you mean, game? I've definitely still got this card. It's the same numbers on the screen, everything. I don't know why. It just would not let me download this for about 2 hours. I just did what I had to do. Ignored it. Ignored it until it went away. Tried it again a few hours later and it worked. Yeah, so I was already a few hours behind, so by the time I got onto this I just wanted to get on, do an exploration video or what I've got to do. I was looking around on the map and I could see a vehicle over in that brown swampy patch, and I was trying to eyeball it from the Loaf, but then I realised I'm in a goddamn professional. Just send him in. Nice graceful swan dive off the cliff. See, I've got confidence in my Loaf. Even got time for a backflip. And then we kill a tree. Look how gently it rests us down. So with a grace of teabagging a woman on the chin. You love to see it. They say chivalry is dead. Of course it's not. It's on her chin. Yeah, and then after that I dived off with the Loaf. As you can see, I mean, he made it back to its wheels, went for a little drive, even with the engine. There's like 1/20th of its health left. It's doing some exhaust spluttering, I'll give it that. It's popping a bit, it's backfiring, but yeah, driving along just fine. No engine stalls. This is just a little bit more of the terrain in general. Kind of got... Yeah, you can see it's a mix between sort of grass that's quite firm ground, all things considering. The snow that can be, I'd say, super snow, but it's not death snow, or not yet. I'm sure there is patches, and then you've got, yeah, muddier bits that kind of definitely sway into super mud, There is bits of death mud I've come across, and in the end the vehicle there was just a CK 1500. I have no regrets. For whatever reason I had to reverse into it. Yeah, you can see like the patch of mud in front of me. I think that whole section, it reminds me of like the old map, the bog on Mudrunner. That is just sort of that level of like swampy, sticky, slow, pain in the arse mud, to be honest. Yeah, so this is just a quick recap. That's the route I took going round to get to the first watchtower. I probably could cut out the bottom of the yard and just, again, there's like a section going through the trees. This is for the other 3 watchtowers, so I mainly followed the road along. That's where I had to cut across the river, really. That was the lighthouse watchtower. And then go back through the town, follow the highway road, basically. Just veer off the road, up a little wiggly path for the 3rd watchtower. Join back on the road again, follow the highway up even more. And when I get to that trailer, sort of cut off to the left. You probably could go round this way and up that way. But again, I was in a Zix and there was enough room to get through the trees, so it's quicker. I'd recommend that way. I could cut down to the warehouse there, but I carried on going up that way. Where I just settled my waypoint on, that's where one of my loafs I left, so I was climbing over that rocky, yeah, like roadblock thing. And then I sent the loaf up through the trees, going along there to that watchtower, and that was them all in the bag. So yeah, that's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed, I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. It's good to finally be back with Phase 6, and I'll be back soon. Get yourself a loaf.